Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL Zwift Racing League race number 2. We are out on the Watopia reverse of the figure 8. You take on both of the hilly loop both of the hilly loop directions, excuse me, on the KOM, and as well as a little bit of Ocean Boulevard twice. It's going to be interesting racing. I think we had a couple of hiccups earlier today, but I think we're all set to go here, Dave. And I'm pretty excited to see. You said it's going to be a very interesting women's race as we were getting going, as they are just getting out on course, actually, with a very stacked field. They're just about to head into the S's. Looks like there's 68 racers in the pens. That's including all of the DS's. What was really crazy, using a little bit different build of Zwift here right now for us on the broadcast, and because of it I actually had to click around a little bit more, and I clicked on all of these E's, and there's like I don't know how many E pen riders, which means that there's like a DS for every team. They're taking this super seriously, and in a points race. This isn't even a team time trial where they need all that organization around who goes when, where, and how with the team time trial. But I mean, I absolutely love that there is that much energy and organization and investment, I think is the word, into this esport right now with the women's side of things. I think we got you on mute, Dave. I got you on mute, Dave.
Sorry, what a fun job being a director would be, to tell you the truth. Getting to be involved in that way is super cool. And to be fair, Nathan, I would say in our community races, the director's role is even more pivotal than in the Premier League, with all of the fastest through segments, fastest across the line. There's a lot to keep track of out here, and having a solid director, that is going to be key out here. This women's race is going to be absolutely fantastic. I saw people already hyping the B race as well as the A race that we've got out here in this A field. When you look at a start list, Nathan, when you see that there's more than 5 riders and 5 teams that have a chance to win, it really changes the dynamic, and it creates what you're looking for in the sport, which is incredible racing. So we're going to get out there and see how this plays out, because they get right after it out here. We were lucky to have the world esports champion racing earlier today. Ashley Moolman-Pasio was she strong. Boy, I didn't see the final numbers, Nathan, but she had to be making around 4.5 watts per kilo on average throughout the day, or something very, very close to that. So we'll get a chance to look at the top teams and riders as they're 2K into what's going to be 30 kilometers of racing out here. It's one big loop on Watopia's figure 8 reverse course. It is already looking like they're getting after it here. As you can see, they hit this pretty severe grade at 6% right now.
Yeah, we are going to make our way forward here. It looks like we're going to keep an eye on, I believe it's going to be Catherine Monks. I'm going to be keeping my eye on, along with the reality of Team Riot. It's going to have Grossman in here. Maybe going to have a little bit of a challenge, though, from a few of the other teams that have picked up a few sprinters. As they start to open things up, it looks like at the front end, Agawatt, though, Megan Rathwell as well from Team Riot. Schmidt's there as well from Team Riot. A little bit of a punch off the front now, coming with the Aero Power Up. Smith now out of New Zealand. A little bit of a gap. Larson, though, coming on strong. Lieberman's there as well. Lots of speed from the DDC rider, though. Larson, I think, is going to take this one down. No problem. Low full bike length. Cameron trying to come on through with Lieberman. I think Cameron may have just nipped that at the line. Catherine Monks is in there. I actually am not seeing our friend Grossman. I thought she would be in and amongst the pack out here today. Maybe no sign up and a no-show?
We'll have to do some investigating there, to tell you the truth. That's Rebecca Larson, a former U.S. national champion. She, out of Florida, she and her husband, Dan, have been a big part of the American racing scene for a couple of decades now. Fitting that Dutch Diesel team wears orange and blue, the same colors as the Gators out of Florida. As we take a look at, I think, a split, possibly, maybe not here, but it's going to be really aggressive racing throughout the day here. Yeah, look how ragged it is all the way through the peloton right now, Nathan. That is some heavy-duty watts being thrown at the front. And let's take a look now. So looking for, you were talking about Grossman maybe not taking the start. That's certainly interesting. And you can see right in the middle of the field, that's a relatively large gap right now. Couple gaps have opened up here. It's on.
Yeah, it does look like as they make their way through this little bit of a pinch point immediately following the sprint It does tend to be a section that you need to watch out for. A little bit of a bump in the road before they head toward the reverse KOM. And it does look like there is a chase group already starting to form behind. And that is going to be, let's see if we can take a look at who is missing out on the break. Looks like the inside outrider, Gabby, is just going to get across. I think that she's going to make it there at solid 5 watt per kilogram kick real quickly. Going to be tough, though. That gap seems to be going out now as they're pushing the pace to the front here. Yipto from DDC, as well as the rest of the riders in this chase group, they're missing out. I don't think they're going to see the front end of this race again. And that's going to be Strashine, Egowatt there with Michelle, Frayne, Davies, Banks, Smith. Arcuri is in there as well, being dropped off. So lots of riders here not making this front group. As we do see Monks back here chilling out a little bit. 178 beats per minute. This pace must be high, Dave. 178 for Monks right now?
Absolutely. I mean, this is obviously a game plan for a couple of the teams. They are getting right after it here, throwing the 20-pound sledgehammer into the mix now. So they have halved this front group. I wouldn't expect too many riders to make their way back in. As you can see, some big names are already hurting. I'm looking for Rachel Lieberman out here, the ATP rider. She is incredibly strong, and I would be expecting her. So Rebecca Larson is definitely, there's Lieberman right up near the front. So she's tucked into the sweet spot of this group. She's certainly a danger woman here today. Catherine Monk's racing out of Denver, Colorado now. The Coeur AF, that's Absque Finesse rider. She's a real talent as well, and I like where her head is at, just doing enough. So I think, Nathan, throughout this 30K, the winner of this race is going to be the woman that really not only uses her legs, but uses her head as well, because you want to do the minimum amount of work possible to be in the front group, and that's exactly what Monks is doing right now. I give her an A+.
And I mean, this is just so surprising to me, honestly, how immediately this is just from the gun. These ladies have not come to mess around whatsoever. And I think the reality, though, from, with all of the DSs in this team, in the team cars here, they have a plan. And I think a lot of the teams are trying to execute this plan as best as they possibly can to put people on the back foot. It is a short race. It's just 2 KOMs, Queen of the Mountains here, short, as well as a couple of sprints. So I think because of that, they're throwing the matches. They're really making sure that each and every one of their team members, like Megan Rathrow, who's an amazing climber on the front right now from Riot. There's a plan here, obviously. She's on this Arvelo S5 with some climbing wheels, which is really interesting to see. Smart. Actually. Yeah. So this is using all your talents where you need to here, Dave.
Including the super brain of Anna Russell. I'm going to guess that Anna Russell's making some really sophisticated calls out here. Anna is obviously a friend of the program and a colleague of ours. And Nathan, I am so happy that she's on board with the Zwift Community Live team. And she is the director, and I'm guessing that she's behind the wheel, the virtual wheel of the team car out here right now, because this is obviously a plan from Riot. DDC, that's Dutch Diesel, the team in the orange and the blue, they are really up for the fight out here. There's Lieberman coming to the fore. She's out of Seattle, Washington, and is one of the breakthrough riders of season 1. There's Angela Quick, another one of the Coeur AF riders. I was talking about her teammate a little bit earlier, that being Catherine Monks. But taking a look, this is, Nathan, you used the term Alana Brady right up there for cryo galloping. So, Nathan, you used the term who's who. Could not be any more appropriate than what you've got here. So the selection has just come out of the selection. Okay, I absolutely love bike racing, and this is bike racing at its very, very best. I guess it's esports, Nathan, but I feel like I'm getting stuck in to a stage in Tour de France Feminine next year. So this is going to be Lederer, a rider trying to chase back into that front group. We're only 6.5K in, Nathan, and there's just bodies laying left, right, and center now, all over the shop here.
14th place, Kurt. So that means 13 off the front right now. Lederer trying to get back involved. Crowding Gallopin right on the wheel there. Dobbs is there as well. It looks like also from Gallopin, and then the DDC rider Woods Turner. Not Woods Turner. The Dobbs running from the DDC, and then Woods Turner. They're coming from Crouch and Gallopin as well. It's going to be 2 seconds back to Somerset trying to get with this chase group. Now again, if you fall off at this point. She'll get in with this group, but if you've fallen off with that front group at this point, it's going to be a rough day, I think, the rest of the way to get back on terms, because they're not going to mess around too much, I think, in that front group with the way that they've been racing.
Couldn't agree more, Nathan. As a matter of fact, this train has left the station. As riders come out the back of this group, I'm going to be, and again, I've been wrong before, and I'm sure I'll be wrong plenty more times, but I don't think many riders are going to be able to redouble their effort and rejoin this group. They're just going to press on and press on and press on. Only the strong survive, as we say. So that's going to be Claire Cameron as the Riot rider there with that nice thumbs up next to her. So let's see, Nathan, let's take some quick inventory up here right now. How have the teams done at this point? We're a quarter of the way into this race, and I'm curious to see. So Dutch Diesel is the orange and blue. They've got, it looks to me like 3 riders, including Rebecca Larson, who's going to try to come around the cryo rider right here, and she does. So Score Larson, first one across the line there. Remembering that we have, that's Alana Brady there for cryo galloping, coming across the line second, and Rymian, ATP rider. We're going to start getting to know her here as that's Kinsey Rymian. Remian, I should say. Want to make sure we get that right because, Nathan, I'll be honest, that's a new name to me, but she's put some big numbers up on the board right now.
Yeah, and as you can see through the first segment, that's without the Queen of the Mountain that we just saw. Larson already on the domination train. Cameron right there as well, as we just saw her involved in this Queen of the Mountain. Lieberman was as well. Monks off the back early on after the sprint. I don't think she was too involved. Maybe in a little bit of a hurt locker after that first sprint point. Now getting into a super tuck, it looks like toward the front, it is going to be Fiona, the new pickup. I believe that is for the Riot team, heading directly to the front in the Super Tuck. I'm loving, there's something that you can start picking up on, even in the way that the avatars interact out on course and how smooth they are through the pack, how it doesn't seem junkated, how they seem to just kind of flow through and find their rest easily, and they play it very smart and know exactly when and where to pedal. And you can see that with Team Riot actually just now in all of the Technicolor fluoro, all the fluoro coming on through. We've got Fiona here, also Megan Rathwell in for the team, Claire Cameron hammering away, and is that going to be 3 riders then? And then I'm just going to double check, make sure we're not missing anything. That's going to be it then, it looks like, for Team Riot that's made this front group. ATP also with the company in there. Ryman, as you did say, able to make this front group. The one other there coming from ATP
Lieberman
is going to be Lieberman. And that's a powerhouse. That's a rider that they might want to send off the front at a certain point after maybe a sprint point or a difficult section out on course. Lieberman is one, if she does make the group, could attack over the top and get into a solid TT effort.
Don't sleep on Rachel Lieberman, that's for sure. She absolutely could win this race outright, but it's important to remember here that this is a team-based competition format where we will have points being scored throughout this race. There's fastest through segments, and you don't need to be in the front group there. That really is just based on how quickly you get through a sector. And then we obviously have those sprints that Rebecca Larson of the DDC team has been phenomenal in up to this point. Here's our man KBH.
3-second gap. He caught them all off guard. Completely caught them all off guard. Velocio dominating right from the get-go, getting right into the men's race. Ferentz here from Velocio. Webmore from Velocio. 1, 2, and 3. Or did Delaire take it at the end there? We'll have to wait for the back-end API to let us know from restart. But Velocio have just shown up and said, we're going to try and take all the points from the top step.
Andrew Ferentz, the Boston Bruin superstar NHL player who's part of this Velocia team. It's going to be KBH, Kevin Bouchard-Hall, who's been a cornerstone of this program. Kevin is just such an outstanding figure in our esports community in this Velocia team. I'm not sure who else. I actually haven't even looked at the men with such an exciting women's race going on. I didn't even need to, but now I do. I see that, again, jumping in with our men's Division 1 East A's here, and that yellow jersey of Velocio. So Ferentz, it looks like they might even have 2 teams in this race. Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that's what I'm seeing. Ryan Kelly racing today, Mike Morse. So I am correct there, right? We have 2
I believe
Velocio
you're correct.
teams.
Yeah, I believe last week we did have a team time trial with the double up on the Velocio teams. So they are going to have like an A team, I think, and a B team out there today. And next is also out here presented by Insure. Chris Uberti, be on the watch out for him for sure when it comes to the climbs as well as the punchier sections. Interesting to see how they weren't too involved in that first sprint and how Velocio really caught everybody out, it seems like, in the way that they went for this. Ashton Lambie here, as you can see, for that next presented by Insured. Trail May is out here. Restart, Dirt Alert. Gurani is here as well as far as the teams go. Clan Knox. Very, very stacked men's field. I did see that Zwift HQ also have a team represented out here, so be on the watch out for them. It's going to be the Aussie Ruse. Is that going to be right here? Betancourt here. I'm going to try and get an idea of what's happening with this as Karen Lewis, somebody to watch out for when it goes uphill as well.
So I'm going to guess it's the Rockets. Is that right? There's Roberto Betancourt, Sean Jefferson, and Craig Taylor, a few of the ZHQ riders. You can see that orange jersey there. Big shout out to them. This is quite a mix that we've got. Ashton Lambie. I'm going to guess that most of our viewers are already up to speed on Ashton Lambie being the world record holder in the pursuit, the fastest man ever over 4K. And it's certainly one of the riders. I mean, we've had a great day as far as the superstars showing up. There's that beautiful Brazilian flag, and here we go. This is going to be Vaz here pressing on. Boy, it seems like we've got quite a few nations represented here. Next has two teams as well out here as Jonathan Jacob, Nick Taylor, Paul Lengerman, Payne Griffin, Seth Arana, Sean Barry, Stefan Zaveselman. It's quite a field that we've got. A lot of depth in this, just like the women here. Two brilliant races to be a part of. If you're looking for good competition, you certainly have it out here today.
Yeah, watch for the orange numbers to start popping here as we get into the 6, 7, 8% gradient. And we do see McCarthy making his way to the front now for Velocio. 11 watts, 10 watts per kilogram here coming in from Ashton Lambie as he looks to make his way with a burrito power-up, making sure that nobody can grab a draft for just a moment around him. And I think next they're going to take over when it goes uphill. You do see all of the lime green with the Tron bikes right now. Luinstra from Royal City sitting on the wheel of Ashton Lambie. It looks like Griffin following his teammate up in that 7.5 here. McCarthy marking it, it looks like, from Velocio. The question is if there's separation or not. And it looks like nobody's even... Actually, I think the pace is so hard, no one's thinking about the separation. All they're thinking about is holding on to the pack behind at this point.
Yeah, it's really one of the best things that's come out of the ZRL has been these the inner race battles that we see. Velocio and Next have had it's been outstanding the way that these teams race against each other. It's all on the up and up, but man, they go deep, no doubt about it. And right now, it's a moment here for Next. It looks like it's Luinstra, Royal City, the Canadian, getting up into the mix. This is going to reshuffle quite a bit here on the climb. There's a lot of talent, a lot of motivation in this group. So I do think, Nathan, things are going to settle down just a little bit here at some point, and that might be right now, to tell you the truth, because this is the moment. I think you'd agree with me. If you want to talk about playing the game of Zwift, attacking on a downhill against a group like this, you got to be out of your mind.
Mike Morse here, as well as a Nixon, looking to try and get across, but I think it's gone. Gone. 5 seconds with this little bit of an uphill grind. You can see 7 watts per kilogram ahead on a 4% uphill gradient. Not going to be matching that speed. Chase group's going to get together, but Royal City, as well as Next, Velocio, Restart with Lennox, Keaton, Ray, plenty of riders. We've got 86 in total and only 30-some up front. This has been completely blown apart. Lewis off the back, really surprised to see that.
Really back. Well, I'm going to guess this is Kieran Lewis, who's been one of the most talented riders racing out of Australia on that Zwift team. You can see he's got the teal-colored Aero helmet there.
Barrett's hasn't made it as well. This has been insanity. Absolute insanity.
Yeah,
but it's 12 seconds, Dave. 12 seconds with a group this large up front. I think they're gone, Dave. I think they've missed the boat.
This might be the one time, Nathan, that I take the side of the chasers, because typically it's me saying what you're saying, right? This time I think that there's enough horsepower there that these guys they've all got a lot to gain by working together. This is going to be fun to watch. Let's mark this moment here as about 12 seconds is what that group is going to need to make up. It includes the Stanley Cup superstar from the National Hockey League's Boston Bruins, Andrew Ference. That's going to be Wetmore up on the front, Wetmore and Chin that we're looking at. This is really a dynamic race going on right now.
I think Kevin did take that down there. KBH just continues. He had the fastest through the segment, it looks like, with a 3:23.8. The question is going to be whether or not that was first across the line as well. It may have been Gumbo. I thought I saw a next jersey. We weren't able to get the shot there, but I think I saw a next jersey coming across the line. We'll see. We're still waiting for a few of the points to come on through, and they are just coming through for the first segment. We'll get these up on screen here. Ference there, it looks like Abbott, Dallaire, Schaefer, Haney, Wetmore, Bouchard, Hall. And that's from fastest through segments, though. You see that? So
must be
first across
that.
the line, Kevin Bouchard Hall had the first across the line, as we saw. But because he was alone, did you see how he was alone? It was only worth 10 points, whereas Abbott grabbed 20 for fastest through the segment because he was with a pack that was hauling, and they closed down time to Kevin Bouchard Hall. And because of that, we're able to grab some extra points.
Yeah, and you think about it, Greg Abbott, a super savvy rider. That's Get Zwifty on Instagram, Greg Abbott, that we're talking about on the next presented by Ensured team. It's a fun team to be a fan of right now, just like Velocio. We're going to move back over to the women and pick up Megan Rathwell here of the mighty Riot team. This team is nothing but danger, but we do have it confirmed from Anna Russell that Christina Grossman did not take the start today. So she would have been, I would imagine, contesting with Rebecca Larson for some of these sprints. Look at Larson on a roll right now, not only fastest first across the line, but fastest through segment. She's been crushing it, collecting a total of 55 points herself. Alana Brady with 31 total points. Claire Cameron there in third right now with 27 points as we take a look at our front group here.
Yeah, we're heading into the next sprint points here. Cameron going to head to the front. Looks like already an arrow power up. And this is going to be about a 15-second sprint, actually. Nice little use. It's going to wear out a little early, though, I think, for those riders who use them there. It's going to be Zanata on the front for Core AF. Now DDC with Rebecca Larson, who's been sweeping up all the points. Will she be able to make it happen again around the corner here with the arrow power up? Well-timed. 583 watts maxing out there. ATP trying to come through. Not quite going to be able to happen. It's right there, though. Lana Brady, I think, taking that third spot. McMaster for fourth. But Larson, you called this out, early on, and I did see a couple of people in the community making some comments as well about watching out for Rebecca Larson, and she is not disappointing for that DDC team. And I think DDC, they've stacked things a little bit in response to the reality of Team Riot.
Yeah, I would agree, Nathan. I have to give credit to Kinsey Remian here. Talk about punching above your weight. I'm not sure, Nathan, if you were familiar with her already, but today is my awakening to the talent that Kinsey is bringing to the ZRL. No doubt about it. She is a player. And I absolutely will be paying a lot of it. She's been the one that's been challenging Larson and actually is not that far off. So as she gets better and better at interpreting the Zwift gameplay out here, she's clearly able to make the watts. There's the Riot rider right now, Megan Rathwell moving up to the front. Alana Brady, big talent there in the white and blue of the Toyota Cryo team. One of the all-time great squads that we've got, and they're quite well represented up in this front group as well. You can see we jokingly last season, or a while ago, many months ago, called that the John Tomac jersey, kind of an 80s throwback look that the Riot team has, and you can see they actually have three riders in this front group. As far as I can tell, ATP looks to me like they've got two. No, it looks like ATP does have two out here.
Yeah, Crouch and Galpin, the only other team. Only other team with three in here, I believe, unless that's Core AF, actually, maybe that's got the other blue jersey. Maybe mistaken then.
I believe that is the case.
Yeah, it is.
Actually.
Yeah, I was incorrect. Right. So it's going to be Cryogen Gallopin with two riders. I mean, Quick is the one here with this.
A lot of Quick right there. She's moved over to Core. Abske Finesse, is that obviously what it says right there? Fiona Gallagher is the Irish flag that we just saw on the Riot team there, right in the middle. I believe Fiona's using the disc wheel.
Yeah, my mistake. It's actually Core AF that's got the two riders here, and it's Crouch and Gallopin who's completely isolated here with Alana Brady. But Alana Brady's never isolated, really. I mean, Alana Brady.
Angela Quick, right? Yep.
She's a powerhouse
She is a
in and of
force.
herself. She's like 2 or 3 riders in and of herself. So Brady can hold her own amongst this crew. And maybe, at the end of the day, Larson's come out of the woodwork here, but she would have been one of my next favorites in the final sprint, actually.
And she greatly benefits from the mix of this group, Nathan. Being a rider, the only rider from your team in this group, isn't as exposed as it could be because you've got other teams that are going to be very closely watching each other. As a matter of fact, I mean, look, if Riot Attacks DDC is obligated, aren't they? They have the responsibility of chasing first. If they lay back, then clearly everything is being tossed out the window. That's DDC, the Dutch diesel team of Rebecca Larson, but it's going to be McMaster. We should give her a shout out as well, having a tremendous ride. Sarah McMaster, the Canadian on that DDC team. Dutch diesel is somewhat of a misleading name. I don't see one Dutch rider on the team right now.
It's a good call, actually. One thing I want to highlight here is a little bit of a valiant effort here coming from Frangos. I did see these 5 watts per kilogram off the front for a moment out of the Estes. Not going to be happening, it looks like. But this pack is cruising along, 18 seconds. They're about to hit the forward KOM. There may be 1 or 2 riders that are sitting in here that might be able to catch stragglers. I don't think they're going to catch anybody on an attack off the front of this front pack. But if this blows up and a couple of riders go nuclear and start going backwards, that chase group definitely has some impetus. They're going to have some motivation to bring those riders back into the fold of the chase group. And only 17 seconds. It's not said and done for anybody. Nobody's safe in this group that might struggle a little over the top of the forward KOM.
Boy, Canada is so strong, Nathan. I realize we're not racing as nations here. This isn't the World Championships, but man, I don't know if it's the fact that the Canadians are further north than the Americans and they're already getting on to their smart trainers and Zwifting more right now, but Canada just very, very impressive. Look at the number of Canadian flags, far more than the American right now.
Rathwell, Cameron, McMaster. I mean, you just can keep going on.
That's a
here.
lot of Canuck up.
Quick. Yeah, plenty amongst them. So Fiona coming out of Ireland racing. Is it like midnight over the what time is it?
Later than that. Now? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Although Fiona is Irish, but I don't think she's in Ireland.
Oh, good call.
Right now.
Good call. Yeah. Gotcha. As we hit the KOM, here we go. Queen of the Mountain over the top of the climb. What's going to happen? Who's going to punch first is going to be the question. They closed it down to 13 seconds with that chase group. Now it's most likely going to open back on up. McMaster heads to the front. Now Lieberman here up into 5.5. They're kind of holding their cards a little bit here.
Here goes Rachel.
Nobody pushing their chips just yet. No orange numbers. Or perhaps we're just used to what we saw from Moom and Passio earlier today on this climb.
Rachel must feel like she must feel like she's climbing up Queen Anne Hill right now in Seattle where she lives. But this is going to be a surge coming over the top. That's going to be Alana Brady, isn't it? The cryogen rider. Again, very familiar or similar looking kits, but that's definitely going to be Alana Brady. But Riot all over it right now. Claire Cameron and Megan Aract. Well, this is some bike racing we're witnessing as they're now coming to 2/3 of this race. But Alana Brady hitting hard. It levels out right here, and Alana Brady doing some damage. This group might not still be complete. Look at that, Nathan. The second group not that far back, actually.
Yeah, actually, it started to almost come together a little bit at the back end, tail end of the dropped riders from this lead group. So they do have that motivation to make the catch. If some of those riders from that group behind make the catch of those 3 or 4 that are behind here and they get some numbers and some strength, and these riders sit up, we may have a larger group actually at the end of this climb, or at least on the bottom of the reverse side of this climb, because of the numbers that might start to avalanche the speed. Alana Brady, though, not going to hold on. I thought she was going to take this out right here, but it's actually been Lieberman coming over the top here from ATP, looking to take maybe their only sprint point on the day from Rebecca Larson. Larson, though, coming with the feather power up. She rolled the dice, and she got super lucky on that one as well, but she's also got the power to prove it. Across the line, it looks like. Ooh, 3 watts per kilogram, a little bit of punch. Brady, followed up by Lieberman, just nipped out there by Brady.
There's Larson actually showing you she knows she's a former pro racer. She knows you only do as much. She's gone to the Kate Bates School of Racing, knowing that you only do as much as you have to, no more than what they're paying you for. And Rebecca Larson there now, the rider in the middle of your screen in the orange and blue, is clearly a huge threat to take out the win today. She's been all over this race as our top points getter for that Dutch diesel team. Going back in with the men, and this is Taylor on that next, presented by Insured team.
Look at all these next jerseys. They're just everywhere.
A lot of yellow, too, though, to stand up for
True.
the Belosio boys. Yeah, but you're right. Next, I mean, what a powerhouse squad. But, boy, yellow, green, it's all over the place right now. This is going to be HTFU on the front here. And
I think Haney's going to take this down, maybe. Or is Velocio going to come through at the last moment? No, it's going to be Velocio with Wetmore. Taylor coming through behind Haney, I believe. Solid kicks, man. And these are so tactical, these sprints. Just insanely tactical sprints. Let's go take a look at this real quickly and how that played out. As you do see Taylor trying to hold on at the front, going to more be the lead out man as Haney comes on through for HTFU. We're going to call him Rule 5. Wetmore, going to slow it right on down as they come across the line there. Let's go ahead and back this up for just a second and see how this ended up playing out. And it looks like across the line, going to be Wetmore, Haney, Taylor, Barton having to settle for fourth. Kevin Bouchard Hall right behind him, followed up by the ATP Racing rider. Now we are getting some counterattacks, though, as they come on through the Essies. Perfect time to attack here, Dave. After all the heart rates raise up, come with those punches, you got a ton of speed. And not expecting to see this. Chrissy, Birdie, and Cassidy off the back. Griffin as well. So already splitting again. And this is coming down to, it looks like maybe 20 riders holding on. If Birdie can get back on terms, I think he will.
It's always one of those moments in a race where you're kind of hoping that we're going to take a couple of minutes and maybe chill out just a little bit. And that's the moment when the riders that really, really want to make an impact attack. And Chris Huberti is so strong racing out of Michigan there with the next presented by Insured team. And he certainly has the ability to come right back up into this group. He is not messing around out here, but look how much smaller. I mean, they have made some major selections out here.
Yeah, the group completely whittled down at this point, and riders just falling off like flies left and right here. Royal City off the back, Griffin as well. A little bit of a chase group that's formed here. It looks like that has got 5 seconds over the next group, but they're not going to see the front end of this race again. It looks like Andrew Ferentz and that group that's behind with a whole lot of next riders as well. It looks like actually Lambie not making the front group at this point, so interesting to see. I wonder what happened leaving because he was in and amongst the front group until they hit the Ocean Boulevard section. I have a feeling something happened over by the marina in the dirt sections.
And to be fair to Ashton Lambie, at 75 kilo, he is the fastest man in the world on a velodrome, but that velodrome doesn't include an 8% grade.
Very true. Very, very true. And most likely when it does head uphill with
I guess it does
punches.
I guess it does if you take a 90-degree turn straight up the track and shoot up into the crowd. It's probably, but that's not the plan. Kinsey Remian here is still up in this group, taking a look at the front group for the women right now. Rebecca Larson, boy, she's going to be tough to beat today, Nathan.
Yeah, and I'm not sure she's been beat once across the line. If we take a look at this, Rebecca Larson, 80 points
Perfect
so
score.
far.
Yeah. Yikes. That's almost unheard of, to tell you the truth. She's not missed a step so far today. 6K to go for the women here to the finish line.
Ryman, as you said, though, holding solid there in that third place with 47 points. McMaster, Lieberman.
I'm super curious. I'm going to have to do some research to find out more about Kinsey and her background, because this is a rider we're going to be hearing a lot more about. Sarah McMaster there, the Canadian with the fourth highest points total at 36, and right behind her, Rachel Lieberman, Claire Cameron, Fiona Gallagher. But really, it's going to be Rebecca Larson on top of the leaderboard there with 80 points, which is the maximum number of points that you can earn. And then very close between Alana Brady of the Cryo team and the aforementioned Kinsey Remian.
They are going to be chilling out for a little while here out on the Ocean Boulevard. I don't think we're going to see too many attacks through here. We might see a little bit. We'll keep an eye on things. Might be Gruppo Compacto, though, for the rest of the race until we hit perhaps the dirt section that comes up through the marina. That is a section a lot of times that riders may try to use the advantage of the slowed down avatars. Going down into the underwater as well as leaving the underwater with about a K to go. It's also a section sometimes we do see riders make a move.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a double dip, isn't it? It pitches right up as you come out of the underwater tunnel, flattens out for a bit, and then pitches up a little bit more. So you do have something to work with, but the strong spinners and the teams, the depth that they have, most of the riders have at least one rider to help them keep things together if they do want to have a sprint in the finale, which is what I would expect. A small group sprint, however. The guys now 2/3 of the way. This is a tough moment here, Nathan. I think we're going to see another selection made in this group.
Yeah, and Royal City making the way to the front. Been super aggressive in a lot of the sprints, and the King of the Mountains so far is going to be Luinstra. I have noticed
I'm impressed.
in this black and yellow over and over again. Not always holding on from it, but definitely on the attack here. A little bit of communication here between Velocio actually publicly, which you usually don't see as of recently. Interesting enough to see. Bouchard Hall following the wheel, and I think he's just waiting to pounce now at this point. And there it is, the next kick coming from Kilborn from Rule 5. And Wetmore, he's been super strong each time through. Bouchard Hall's going as well, and I think this is the moment Velocio's planned to make that move.
This is a very, very high level that we're looking at. Not that different than the Premier League, to tell you the truth. This is going to be Wetmore now on the front. He's had a phenomenal ride up to this point. He's going to try to collect as many points as he can as here comes the big surge. That's HTFU and Kilborn, but they come up over the top of that. Velocio, the team in yellow, and it looks like, is it going to be K to the B to the H? I think it will. He should have the ability to hold on here, as this is going to be some dad watts that we're looking at. Kevin Bouchard Hall picking up.
That was so close for that second place. KBH makes it happen. But that second place was pretty interesting as well. A little bit of a gap now being formed. Will they continue on? Split up here. I think the second group will gain some speed and roll right on up them. But the question is, will the third group do the same? Now there is an arrow power up, and Barton's arrow power up is really going to benefit this entire group actually because of that. That speed's going to bring them right into the fold.
Right there.
Boersma, though, gone, as well as Yamaki. Taylor in a very difficult spot. He's just going to do it at 6.3 watts per kilogram at 48 kilometers per hour as they slow down here and they all come back together. So that's going to be your lead group at this point.
Wow. Not an easy group to make, to tell you the truth. This has been brutal out here for the men. The men started a little after the women, and we're going to have to go back and take a look at a replay here of Kevin Bouchard Hall, but watch the sprint for second out here.
Yeah, it comes right in 10 watts per kilogram. Steady has the gap easily here. That sprint for second, Kilborn is, I mean, it's right to the line here. I think it's behind the banner, but
that's
as you can see,
end, yeah.
I think he just nipped it here. Luinstra comes over the top after the banner, it looks like. Chinder from Plush, that's the old Wadi Inc. team, also being represented with the fourth place. Wetmore fading back. I think Wetmore's got more of the full kick of a traditional sprint rather than the reality of these sprints over the top of the King of the Mountain. But it was a short enough climb, and I think a little bit of punch over the top was able to make something happen still for a fifth place there for Wetmore. This is the group now all back together. Let's jump back in with the ladies as they are into their final few K, just about to leave Ocean Boulevard. The last time through the underwater tunnel, we do have our lead group of, I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders, if I'm not incorrect.
In this group, you've got Megan Rathwell, Rachel Lieberman, Fiona Gallagher, Alana Brady, Claire Cameron, Sarah McMaster, Kinsey Remian, and Rebecca Larson. They have made the ultimate selection, the chase group, at about 24 seconds back, with Zanata Quick Moroz and the cryogen galloping rider Molly. But this is it, Nathan. We are locked and loaded. This is not a drill. If you can beat Rebecca Larson here, you got to be feeling really good about your kick. She's rolling a perfect score right now. Claire Cameron is certainly going to be interested in trying to disrupt that, or
100 points.
Apple cart.
100 points, Dave. Like,
That's a
Pwah!
monster. That's not a bike racer. That's an absolute wattage
That's a
monster.
team. That's a team. I mean, you add up the points from some of these other teams, and it's 100 points. It's less than 100 points. I mean, that is absolute domination here coming from Rebecca Larson. And it's only been. It's not like she's gotten a huge gap over them. It's just she's had those bike lengths, 2 bike lengths, 1 bike length, and just timed it right with the right amount of power to just dominate these each one of these sections. Very smart racing, actually.
She's really got the best of both worlds, right? She's a mom. She understands how to race her bike in real life and knows you only do as much, as I was saying earlier, you only do as much as you need to, and then save a little bit of sugar for the next time you're baking cookies, because you definitely want to get out here and try to. I mean, this would be. I can't ever remember a community race where a rider has a perfect score, picking up every fastest through segment, every first across the line, and the race wins. So let's see if she can make history out here today. I'm sure it probably has happened, but not in front of my eyes.
Now leaving the Ocean Boulevard, the section 3% uphill grade, this last chance to really try and make a move. And I think Ride is trying to do exactly that. They know that so far from what they've seen from Larson, they cannot challenge those power numbers. Larson now having to chase, and that is very smart here because Larson burning a match. Remnian here now trying to chase it down for ATP Racing, and the rest of Riot can just sit in, actually, and they get a minimum of second place out of this, though.
Well, the problem is this could backfire on you right now, because if that gap doesn't get closed down, but it's going to be, it looks like Alana Brady is going to come. Wow, this is just
she's a teaming of herself, though. Brady just goes across, doesn't bring anybody. I love how she did that right there. Nope, here comes, just jump. Now ATP Remni near Cameron, now go across.
Look at that effort. Kinsey, super smart. She's got some real savvy riding going on right now as Kinsey gets into that group, but doesn't do more than she needs to. She doesn't waste a watt out there. I'm excited to see what Remian can do in this sprint. Here we go. Rebecca Larson is trying to tee this one up to knock it out of the park, and let's see if she's, very well positioned right now. Here comes her teammate then up and over the top. That's going to be McMaster there. So Lieberman now to the front for ATP. Here we go. Final 500 meters right here, right now. We're going to find out if Rebecca Larson can put a perfect race together for DDC.
She is sat completely right where she needs to be. She keeps rotating through those front three. They've tried to throw the kitchen sink at her. They have been unable to do so. Fiona off the back from those early efforts. Here comes Lieberman to lead out for the ATP team at this point. Going to start ramping things up. There's the arrow power up now. Here comes Larson. Larson straight from the front with that feather. That's the jump. It's not going to be responded to. I don't think it's just too high a watts per kilogram. 57 kilometers per hour. Larson is gone. It's not even close to being matched at this point. Will Lieberman hang on to the line is the question. I don't think so. I think Claire Cameron just nipped it. We'll take a look at the replay real quickly.
Cameron for silver, it looked to me, although we'll go to the back end API as you said, but Cameron there doing enough to collect silver.
What a tank, though. I mean, this Rachel Lieberman, just this engine on her, the way that she was able to lead it out from the front and just kind of ramp up speed. I think she still held on to a third place, even coming from the front of the pack, which is, I mean, that's a pretty amazing. Here's Lieberman on the front, 7.6, holding Alana Brady trying to come around. And I think Lieberman still ended up. Now here comes 8 watts per kilogram from Lieberman. Yeah, holding position very well, actually, Lieberman. Even with that, Alana Brady, I thought, was going to take down the second place, unable to do so. I think Cameron did get that, but maybe not Lieberman.
No, that's Cameron. I mean, by visual, we'll see what the back end API says.
You're correct. You're actually correct. There it is going to be Cameron as they come across. And Brady, I think, just behind. I was really impressed by Lieberman there and the reality of how she was able to.
She's a great rider. She really is. I love her story. Another one of the riders who joined us during the COVID lockdown period, who I don't think really realized how talented she was until she had a Strava experience. I think riding with some men that they knew from Seattle down in Arizona, if I remember the story correctly. And that sort of opened her eyes to the fact that she might have more ability and talent than she realized. And that's one of the best things that's happened with Zwift is the world that's opened up in competitive athletics for people who maybe didn't realize that they were a legitimate athlete, just kind of thought they were exercising. It turns out they had real talent. And Rachel Lieberman, you have real talent, no doubt about it. Picking up the men now at 3.3K to go.
Very quiet. Super, like everyone is just watching each other. Well, I mean, look at this. So quiet that it's 10 seconds now to a chaser from Royal City.
What's interesting, this is the moment where you kid yourself and you think, oh, I could almost hang in that group. Well, you could, Nathan, but like it really has backed off as we're setting things up for the finale for the men now.
Which, I mean, the reality is there's just that much more nitric oxide in the tank. At this point, there's just that much more of an explosion when it does end up giving it a go out here.
You can see these guys, though. I mean, they're breathing through their nose if they're making 2.7 watts per kilo. For them, that's almost nothing. And they're just loading up, as you said, loading for bear right now. Velocio has quite a few riders in this group. Looking at that next presented by Insured, 1, 2, 3, 4 riders for them, 4 for Velocio. Nathan, let's see who else has got good representation up here. I got to give Royal City credit. Guelph, Canada. Nice job, as that's the Bumblebee kit that you see.
Making the lead group. Plush is here as well. I think it's just going to be Kronert there, though, I think. Next, obviously represented. Velocio, so many kits in here. Kilborn there coming from the Rule 5 team. And I
guess we're going to find out if KBH is a sprinter or not. I've heard multiple times on their podcast Kevin claiming he wasn't.
Well, he pulled like a solid 6 watts per kilogram on me when
exactly.
we were out, like on a climb over last spring. So
that's like the old joke is the greatest trick, or not joke, but from Usual Suspects, the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing us that he didn't exist, right?
100%.
And same thing with sprinters. They want to sprinters want to make sure you don't think that they can sprint.
We'll see if he does have it. He's proved that he's
well positioned for a non-sprinter.
We saw him break away actually in the first sprint and grab it from the rest of the field, and I think that may be the move from him here. We do have that little bump in the road, 3% gradient coming up in just a moment. So that may be what we're looking forward to for KBH, and a couple other riders maybe go across with him. Sometimes over the top of this one, if riders are tired, they'll back off and expect someone else to do the work. Kind of catch them out a little bit.
Classic, isn't it? That's really what bike racing is all about, is just trying to get people to underestimate the danger of your attack late in the race, and that's all you need. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. I completely understand what you're saying there, Nathan. I agree. Is once you get 2 or 3 riders looking at each other to do the work, that might be just the ticket for a breakaway to stay away.
Here we go. ATP Racing Hydrogen with Schaefer. Nobody really going. I was expecting double digits there, honestly. So not.
I think everybody's going to keep the cards close to their vest here.
Well, over the top speed here, this could be the one section. Over the top speed is really important for getting breaks through these sections. There it is from Cassidy. Velocio are playing a card here. Next, presented by Insured with Jacob. No, who is that going to be? That's actually going to be Barry here.
So looking to go across. Counters. Yep, so next Insured is going to counter and come across here. So it looks like we're moving some chess pieces around on the board right now, as that is going to be Barry there.
Anybody who can chase, Barry. Any of the teams who would chase are not going to chase now.
Dangerous moment.
This is gone. Cassidy's totally blown up. Next over the top. Now Velocio has to chase because Cassidy has a dropout. It's the worst situation for Velocio. They sent a rider off and they... Oh, no.
It's like having a rider in the breakaway have a flat with 2 laps to go. You put all your eggs in that basket. There's nothing you can do about it. That was really unfortunate for Velocio there. Here
comes Barton, though. They are responding. They're responding. They're gonna have a lead out man now with Barton here. 11 watts per kilogram. No, I think they can bring this back. The 6.9 watts per kilogram with 11 here. Close. So incredibly close. Here comes next with Gumbel's got 11 watts per kilogram and an arrow power up. He's going to roll right over the top of his teammate and make it happen because they got the lead out from Velocio, actually. Here comes Velocio, though, with more arrow powers, but not enough landscape to make it happen. KBH has to settle for second. Dirt, actually, alert with Smallman. Coming out of the woodwork. Where did they even come from? We didn't even mention them. And he makes it onto the podium. A little bit of TV time there for the Dirt Alert.
Good for them getting up in the mix. That was an epic finale. Tough break there for Velocio. KBH, though, comes back to take the silver. Wow. Well, that was some great bike racing out there.
That
America's
mechanical.
East.
Oh, we got some chatter coming through in chat as well, saying that was a rough mechanical. They really set him up so well to go head to head. I'm not sure if it actually would have held. Did you see the speeds?
I don't know if they would have made it.
Yeah. I mean, the speeds that were coming through there were just absolutely insane. So we'll have to take a look here. We do have an extended replay actually of how that all played out. We'll look at it right from the moment of the dropout and get an idea of how this ended up playing out. It was off the front with Bari. And here we go. And interesting enough, the timing of Bari's feather power-up was the moment that we saw the dropout take place, actually. So here comes the feather power-up on that 2%. Yeah. And then the dropout from Cassidy, full backwards. And at this point, I thought it was lost because I wasn't sure Velocio were going to have anything to respond. Immediately, though, you see the orange numbers starting to kick behind here, and I think that's actually responses.
Jonathan Jacob. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can see when Jacob goes orange, and that's when I actually at that moment thought that this was going to stay away. You can see that gap looks huge, but this is really the hashtag the truth. They have so much wattage back in that group. Watch how they close this down. It is frenetic at this point.
Yeah, as you
so over
see
the
next,
top.
Gumbel. I thought Gumbel.
That's your race winner right there, deploying the aero power up.
65 kilometers per hour. It was a 12 kilometer per hour difference, actually, is really what we're talking about there when it comes to why they're able to close this down so incredible. 201 beats per minute there, Dave. Whew, that's some pain. 202. Bouchard Hall, followed up by Dirt Alert, and then it's going to be Wetmore. Taylor, I think, Kilborn, Barton. We'll have to take a look at the results, though, to see the true.
That's the kind of sprint that you want to keep a bucket nearby for.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look. Let's take a quick look at the results for the. We'll just flash these up on screen actually for the preems real quickly, and then just so everybody can get an idea of how these ended up playing out on the men's side of things. 82 points to Bouchard Hall, Wetmore, and Lewenstra. Those are your top teams or top riders on the day for the points situation. I want to just make some mentions here across the categories. In the B category, McVeigh is there, Bowen as well as Bowman there at the top spots in that B category. I think the C's may have gotten across the line already here. 62 points so far for them, Marson as well as Sugai. And then in the D category, Raymond, Cole, and D3 Watts brothers, JZQC. As you always say, it gets more interesting the further down you go in the results. Take a quick look at how the women's points played out. It was Rebecca Larson. That was the name of the game out there today. Alana Brady being a solo rider there from Crouch and Gallop. And as I said, though, she is a team in and of herself. What a ride there coming from Alana Brady there. And your new star, it sounds like, it's going to be Remian with that
Kinsey,
55 points. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, way to show up at the high level for Remian there. Perfect score for Rebecca Larson. I'm really impressed as she ends up taking the race win as well. We'll be looking at that in a moment. Let's take a look at Blake here with 66 points, just one better than Candeloro there. It's all Americans in your top five as far as garnering points today. Ayala third, Kaplan fourth, Broomer in fifth. Then you see the Colombian flag for Moreno there, sixth, Swartz, the Canadian, for seventh. As that's a good look at our women's Bs out there. Sounds like a very competitive race today. Women's C's, Nathan?
I'm loving just the ability for these riders to get a highlight as well, do some work for their team with this points competition. Always really cool to see that it's not just the first across the line at the end of the day. Kopech, Ritter, as well as Grulo. It's going to be Bird and Smirtich. Brown, Bird, Townsend, Voigt, McMurty, Houston, all making the top leaderboard here in this C category. And then the D's there as well, Dave. We got Dole, Cox, Atkinson, and Breezeboy. Did I get that? I think I got that one this right. that one's always gets me, that Breezeboy.
Breezeboy?
Breezeboy. What's the wah? Why is there a wah? Harry's and Baxter there. That's the 7th and 8th place there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results then For the men, we'll start with Tony Gumbel. Whew, what a kick from Tony there, Dave.
Hello, Tony Gumbel. Awesome ride today. So you can see next presented by Insured taking the win with Tony Gumbel today. And that's a benchmark moment for Tony. KBH, Kevin Bouchard Hall for Velocio, and Tucker Wetmore take the silver and bronze in that finishing sprint there. Ian Smallman out of New Zealand for Dirt Alert. Great job. So interesting. It looks like they're scoring that slightly different than what we were saying there. So Wetmore getting up on top of Smallman and onto that final spot on the podium with Smallman in fourth, Nick Taylor fifth, Mitchell Kilborn in sixth, Mike Barton had a good day today in seventh, Craig Luinstra in eighth, Charles McCarthy ninth, Charlie McCarthy, that's a cool name, in ninth, and then Stephen Schaefer in 10th. Charlie McCarthy, if you Google it, is a reference to 60 years ago, actually. You'll see what I mean.
Ned Bowen for Draft B. It's going to be Chris Carvalho there for Draft B as well. Ryan Norwood. This is going to be your men's B for the Americas East Division 1. Scott McVeigh for Z Sunset. Jordan Bergman. Joe Thomas. Chris Pignanelli. And then Ryan Kettleson. Matthew Mikhala. Hakla? Yeah, there we go. And then David Charles. Mikhala. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then in for the C's. Nobody yet.
I think they're still,
like they're
still racing
there so far. Yeah, good for them. Get done, boys. What are you doing? Let's go. All right, everybody. Well, that is going to be it for the Americas East. Really happy that we could provide the broadcast as a couple of the. I know
Good job,
go back
Nathan.
and watch. Go back through the earlier. We did have a little bit of struggle. I think we figured it out so far for what we've got to work with right now. I appreciate everybody having lots of patience with us with the start of this next season. But Dave, we're going to be back in a little over an hour. Our friend Kate Bates, who's usually on with you and will be on with you for the rest of the season. Sounds like she's covering a tour of Britain.
Women's tour.
Women's tour of Britain, yeah. So she'll be on, if you want to go watch her on TV, you can do that. And she'll be back next week to be covering the rest of the season with Dave for the Americas West. But you're going to have to put up with me for one more broadcast. Go ahead, Dave.
I want to give you a shout out, Nathan, doing an incredible job there. I know that you've had a lot that you've had to work through today, and it shows how much passion you have for your job. The fact it would have been easy to pull the pin on this broadcast, but not only did you make it happen happened seamlessly. That was really impressive. No one would know the difference if you hadn't have told us that. I'm super impressed with your ethics.
Thanks. Appreciate that, Dave, very much. And I appreciate all the viewers out there as well. If you haven't done so as well, and it's your first time here, or for some reason you haven't made your way around to it on your phone or on your computer screen, hit the subscribe buttons, follows, all those different things, and the likes. It does help the channel. And you will get updates anytime then that we do go live if you turn those alerts on. We appreciate every one of you for that. And we will see you in a little over an hour for America's West for our Season 1 of the 2021-22 ZRL.